we will discuss introduction to DBMS, or introduction to database. Introduction to database. See, first, for what purpose we need the database? For what purpose we need the database? Before having the database, we will be having the flat files. What is the purpose of using flat files? Just we are going to be store the data in some CSV file or Excel or some other text document. In these particular files, we are going to be store the data, that what we can call as a flat file. Before this database will be having the flat files, where we are going to be store the data in the form of a text file or Excel or CSV. Before going to have about this computerized electronic file, will be having manual file. Usually, if we want to store the database manually, in the books we are going to be enter the data, or else all the files we are going to be keep records manually. Just suppose in an organization, if we want to maintain the payroll system in a sense, for all the employees, how many days they have attended for the work, how many days are working days, how many days they have taken leave, and how many casual leaves, how many paid leaves, or how many loss of pay, and everything they are going to be calculated for each and every employee before giving the salaries. They will be maintaining one system, that is payroll system. Everything they will be maintaining manually. In the books, they are going to be write the content and they are going to be preserve it. And for making the calculations or for accessing the data, it is going to be take more time whenever we are maintaining the data manually. Let's suppose one more example. Student database they have taken. Okay, fine. In the student database, which class the student belongs to, what is his marks, everything they would like to store physically in the books, in the records they'll be maintaining. After 5 years, one student came and they're asking for study certificate. Without taking the confirmation whether he has studied in the so-and-so academic year, we cannot able to issue the school people cannot able to issue the study certificates or TC or something, any certificates related to that particular person. First, they have to take the confirmation whether that particular student has been studied or not. Okay, fine. If they want to retrieve the data when they have stored the data manually, in a sense, it is very difficult. It is going to be take a lot of time. Now here, majorly, we are focusing in the database to store the data and to access the data, to store the data and to retrieve the data, to store data, to retrieve data, to store data, to retrieve the data. That is the main purpose of storing and accessing the data. I mean, we are going to be keep the records. So later, after manual processing, we have flat files. In the text document, we are going to be store the data. In Excel, we are going to be store the data, or in CSV, we are going to be store the data. CSV file, in a sense, comma separated value. CSV, in a sense, comma separated value. We'll be storing the data into it. And whenever we are retrieving the data, it is a little bit difficulty, and we have some issues with the flat files. What will be the issues we have with the flat files? We'll see. What are the issues we have with the flat files? We'll see. What will be the issues we have with the flat files? Issues with the flat file. See, first what we have, flat file size issues. Flat file size issues. Data security. So what is meant by flat file size issues? Sometimes it may be having some duplicate data. Sometimes it may be having blank values in some respective places. In that particular cases, if you want to retrieve the data, it will be difficult. If you are reducing the memory by removing the unnecessary things, we can able to access the data quickly. So if unnecessary things or duplicate values or blank values, if you are storing in the flat files, then automatically the size is going to be increases. And accessing of data will also be takes more time. Next, retrieve the data. Before going to retrieve, discuss about the retrieve data, security for the data will be less. Security for the data will be very less because the data is not protected. We are not following any security measures to protect the data. What is there in the flat files like CSV file or Excel file or text file. So that is one of the issue we have. Next, retrieving of data. Whatever it may be the data we want from the flat files, to access those values, it will be difficult. And here we are not maintaining indexes, so that processing will be more slow. No indexes are maintained. See, so processing will be slow. See, even these are all the issues what we are going to be, what we have discussed will also get in the manual file processing. In the manual file processing. To overcome this problem, we'll be having DBMS. To overcome all these problems, all these issues, we have DBMS. What is the full form of DBMS? DBMS, database management system. Database management system. What is database management system? What is data? What is database? That and all we will discuss. So next we will discuss what are the different databases we have. First, what is meant by data? What is meant by data? Collection of raw facts. Collection of raw facts. that is which we can say, which is not processed, which doesn't have proper meaning. Which doesn't have proper meaning. That is called as data. And next we have information. What is information? What is information? Processed data is called as information. Processed data is called information. Any doubt as of now? Anyone have any doubt? You can ask. If anyone have any doubt, you can ask.
No, sir.
Is it clear? Next,
Yes, sir.
database. Database is a place where we are going to be store the data. This is the database where we are going to be store the data. This is the place to store data. Is a place to store the data. Directly in the database, how we are going to be store the data? Again, we'll be having tables here. In the form of tables only, we are going to be store the data. Then what is DBMS? What is DBMS? DBMS is one of the software which is used for storing the data, performing some modifications to the data, or if you want to retrieve the data, we are going to be use this by using some particular language. DBMS is a software, or DBMS is a concept where we are going to be store the data, retrieving the data, and performing the modifications to the data. That is what we are going to be perform with the database. That is what we are going to be perform with the database. See here, to store the data, to modify or changing the data, mainly to retrieve the data from database. So to perform all these tasks, we need a language called as SQL. We need a language called as SQL. So what will be the different examples we have for, what will be the different examples we have for DBMS? We have different DBMS softwares. We have different DBMS softwares like SQL Server. This is one of the DBMS software which is given by the Microsoft company. Oracle, which
Hello,
has
sir.
to be pronounced as Oracle, which has to be pronounced as Oracle, and This was given by Arkell company. And we have MySQL database, which has been developed by MySQL Foundation. MySQL Foundation. And we have some more DBMS softwares, that is DB2, Natiza. So these two given by IBM, MongoDB, like many databases we have, whatever it may be the database, either with SQL Server. So we have to pronounce this as a SQL Server. It is not SQL. So actually we have this is a SQL. We have to pronounce this as a SQL. We have to pronounce this as a SQL. SQL is a language what we are using to perform various operations in the different databases like SQL Server or Oracle, MySQL, or any databases. Okay, so from where the DBMS has been invented, that concept we'll see. That is history of DBMS. In 1970s, DBMS concept has been introduced. In 1970s, DBMS concept has been introduced, and in that first, they have invented NDBMS, which has been failed, and later they have invented HDBMS. Even this also failed. And next they have invented RDBMS. Now this is success. What is the full form of RDBMS? Relational database management system. Relational database management system, RDBMS. What is meant by relation? Relation is also called as table. Relation is also called as table. Relation is also called as table. We are going to be stored the data in the form of tables in the database. That what we can say RDBMS. Here also we are going to be storing large amount of data, and we can able to retrieve it. We can able to provide high security to the data. While we are accessing the data, accuracy will be good. While we are accessing the data, accuracy will be good. See, these are all the advantages we have with the DBMS or RDBMS. Can store large amount of data when compared to the flat files. All these are the advantages what we are discussing related to DBMS, which was compared with flat files. Okay, so can store large amount of data. Can store large amount of data and even can retrieve data. can retrieve the data. Can have high security to the data. Accurately we are going to be access the data. In accessing the data is good. Okay, so among all this, SQL is a language that is what we can call as a SQL. We have to pronounce this as a SQL, which is used to interact or to perform any operations on RDBMS. What is the full form of SQL? Structured query language. Structured query language. The full form of SQL is structured query language. The full form of SQL is structured query language, which is not a, it is not a case sensitive language. It is not a case sensitive language where it does not shows the difference between the uppercase letter and lowercase letter of the same alphabet. It does not shows any difference between the lowercase alphabets and uppercase uppercase letters of the same alphabet. History of SQL Server. History of SQL Server. So when they have given the first version, first they have given SQL Server 1.0 version in 1989. Later we have SQL Server or SQL Server 3.0, then SQL Server 5.0, then SQL Server 7.0, and later SQL Server 2000 we have in 2000, and in SQL Server 2005 we got this SQL Server 2005 where we have RDBMS in it, RDBMS in it. From the SQL Server 2005 only we have RDBMS, and later we have SQL Server 2008, later 2012, 2014, 2016, and the now latest version is 2019. So we'll be getting 2021 also. We'll be getting 2021 also. see the latest versions you can able to install as of now is SQL Server 2017, SQL Server 2019 also fine. Any one among that. 2021 recently we got the information like they'll be releasing the next version as SQL Server 2021. So as of now in usage, the latest versions are these 2017 and 2019 both. So anyone we can able to use and we can able to install to work on the database. What will be the minimum requirements for this to install the SQL Server? Minimum system requirements. Minimum system requirements. What we have here. Minimum Windows 10 operating system should be there. Minimum Windows 10 operating system should be there. Minimum of 2 GB RAM. Maximum 8 GB, 16 GB. How much we have? That much we can use. Minimum 2 GB. Any processor like i3, i4, sorry, i3, i5, i7, any processor, AMD processors, anything we can use the processor. And minimum of 100 GB hard disk. Minimum of 100 GB hard disk. These things we need to have in our system so that we can able to install SQL Server 2017 or SQL Server 2019 versions. Any one is enough for us. Any version, any one version is enough. Okay, fine. As of now, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. In the next session, we'll discuss about database architecture. So with the database architecture, we'll come to know what are the things we have. What are the things we have? Like how the database is going to be work, how the data will be stored. Everything we will be discussed in the database architecture. Okay. Thank you for joining the session. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.
No, sir.